Well, looking at what he said this week, he said interest rates are partly to blame. He's also blamed global factors. How responsible is the central bank for this weak economy? And given inflation is what's causing families so much pain, it is the biggest fight at the moment, did the RBA have any other choice but to raise rates 13 times?
Well, they've really only got the one lever, which is the cash rate. And what the cash rate does then is feed into other interest rates, including mortgage rates. And, let's be clear here. The aim has been to slow the economy, to reduce aggregate demand. Now, I heard particularly Mr Albanese talk about global factors. The trouble is that is a very out-of-date story. So if we look at all our major economies, most of them have got two characteristics now. One, they've got inflation down to within their target bands. And secondly, they have begun to lower their interest rates. So we're actually the laggard. And I think it's probably a bit yesterday's story to be blaming global events. But I guess they'll try.
Yeah. Look, we've seen that there's been analysis that if the June quarter is around 0.2%, that means that the annual growth would be 0.9%. How does this sit in our history as a country? How do you compare this to the recession in the 1990s?
Well, this sits badly because don't forget the population is growing between 2 and 2.5%, which is extremely strong, both historically but also by international comparisons. So if you've got the economy growing at 0.9 and the population, say, growing at 2, you quickly work out that in per capita terms we're going backwards. So this, I think, almost certainly will be the 6th quarter of negative per capita GDP growth. And in international terms, that is a bad story. It's not. It's basically a reflection of falling living standards, and you're not seeing the same gloomy story in a number of other countries, particularly the US, for example.
Look, there does seem to be at least some frustration from the central bank about not just federal government but state government spending as well. I mean, there's not enough focus on the state government spending, not just particularly Queensland, really. But there seems to be frustration on government spending. How much of a rift do you think there is? I mean, the Treasurer on television this morning said there's no rift, we're working together. Michelle Bullock's obviously his hand-picked governor. So do you think those reports that we've seen this week are a bit overblown?
Well, let me put it this way. I don't think they're helpful. I think to kind of have an open battle with the Reserve Bank is really not a help in terms of economic policy. But there is clearly an element of, well, both someone applying the brake and someone applying the accelerator to this economic car, and that is not a good idea. Are the states part of the problem? Most definitely. But I do think, I saw Katie Gallagher make a ridiculous point, which is, they have no control over the states. They do have control over the states, both in a sort of jaw-boning sense, but also in their ability to actually apply some financial penalties if they overspend. So I think it's an interesting point with Michelle Bullock because they've changed some of the processes. So, for example, they don't have as many meetings. They're now only every 6 weeks. And she then gives a press conference after the decision is made public. Now, that sort of takes the narrative away from the Treasurer. Mind you, Jim Chalmers had wanted this. Yes. But I think in retrospect, it's he's sort of losing control of the storytelling because Michelle Bullock is getting in. And she has got better. And the journalists have got better. So it's actually, it's not normally something I want to spend 40 minutes listening to, but yes. I quite look forward to it. So
I do as well.
I'll be doing that regularly.
All right, Judith Sloan, always terrific to have you on the show. Thank you again.